So they're in the middle of it.
It's Monday, April 20th, a little after 3. We'll call the Board of Directors of Trinity Metro to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. John, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any cards? We have citizen comments? And that portion of the meeting is closed for citizen comment.
Do we have one?
I think there's one.
Yeah. There is a card.
Yes, please.
Thank you for speaking up. Thank you.
Hello.
Welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just
My name
fine.
is Paula Brownlee. I'm a citizen in Fort Worth. I was born in Fort Worth. I love the history of Fort Worth, and you name it. I ride all sorts of your transportation weekly. I ride the TRE to the Presidential Library in Dallas and volunteer once a week. Was a volunteer at the airport, so I've been on those. And I see this little Trinity Metro on-demand running around the city. And I thought, you know what? Texas is changing the laws for the elderly. I need to be planning ahead. But I noticed when I check it to see if it could take me to the train at 6 o'clock on Thursday mornings, it's not available in our area. So I come to you today. I came to a November board meeting, and I was at the wrong meeting. But I enjoyed telling you how much I love the TRE, the conductors, the engineers. I'm still waiting on that second security person down at the TNP in the mornings. There's one. I feel like I'm on a new journey. I've been doing this for 12 years. The windows are clean now. They're wonderful. You replaced them for the World Cup, so I feel like I'm going to a new town every mile. The seats are now clean, so wow. And I love the way that some of the stations have been really spick and spanned up for this. We're all planning on visitors. So as I think of that, I told the group for TRE that I did a little bit of research with our census and found that in Hewlin Bend Estates, there's 2,100 residents. There's 26,000 residents in Hewlin Bend area. It's my understanding that the big development by the Bass Brothers with the high-end car dealerships and possibly restaurants is in the process of being developed now. We're going to need transportation over there. According to the census, the average age is 45 in our area. Well, my block kind of makes that a little bit higher. And we think it would be really nice if we could get some service in our area. And I would like to leave with you some proposals of places that would be good stops, starting with the Hewlin Bend Amenity Center. It's located where everyone could walk down there, drive there, and use the Trinity On Demand. And like I say, when I type in, this is where I would like to go and this is where I live, it always says, sorry, we don't service your area. So that's why I came today to say, I hope that we can continue to be positive with all our transportation and welcome others in the city. So if I could leave this with someone.
Please do. You can leave it with right up here.
Okay, I'll
Christine,
leave that
right there.
with you, several of them, and I have my email and phone number. I believe, one of the good things I've noticed recently, tickets are being checked on the TRE. And that's real promising because, you know, we all take part. I've been known to buy a few tickets for people. I understand it's hard, but it's not that much. And with gas prices, it's sure a lot cheaper than driving. And I love it when I'm stalled in traffic or they are stalled in traffic and I'm on the train just going right past them. So again, thank you, and I love seeing the new service, and if there's anything I can do, I did talk with Deidre Whitmore, and I have a group of adults that we're going to let her use for training. We're all going to the airport and back, stop for lunch or breakfast, and have a good trip. So
Well, that's
thank you.
terrific. Thank you for swinging by and making your comments.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak before the board? If there are none, then we'll close this portion of the meeting, the public hearing. The next item on the agenda is the meeting minutes for March 16th.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We have several information items and reports. Let's start with Brad. Is Brad going to be giving it today? There you are.
Good afternoon, board members. Brad Beeson, Manager of Rail Operations here at Trinity Metro. Here to report on the ridership and on-time performance for TRE and TexRail. I know this sounds like a broken record, but TexRail has had another record month as we had a ridership increase of 15% over last year, this time with 80,363 rides for the month of March. Our on-time performance for last month ended at 99.52%, which is well above the preset goal that we have set. TRE also had a great month in March. Even though it shows they were down 1%, they still carried over 117,000 riders for the month and had an on-time performance of 99.34%. Once again, we would attribute this to the great results to the team at Herzog for continuing to rise to the occasion and keep us moving no matter the issue. Our transportation safety has eclipsed the 3,000-day mark without injury. This is a feat that is unheard of in the industry. Once again, great job by all the teams in accomplishing this number. Last month, I mentioned the IED safety drill with Amtrak, TRE, and TexRail. That drill took place on the 15th and was successful. By having this drill, it keeps TRE and TexRail in compliance with the FRA for the required E-Prep drill that must be completed every 2 years. On May 17th, TRE will have another E-Prep drill at Centerport in preparation for FIFA. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions? Keep going, Brad. You've done good.
Thank you.
Hey, Reed.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Reed Lanham, Chief Operating Officer here at Trinity Metro. And if you would please turn to page 11. We're going to be on pages 11 through 14 in your packet. This is the bus and on-demand ridership and on-time performance update. March was a good month for our bus operators, our bus system. We saw an increase of roughly 6,000 riders in the month of March over last year. And something I want to point out is the on-time performance. While we still aren't quite at goal yet, you can see a steady increase in our on-time performance these past few months. The guys out at the shop have been doing a great job. You know, you'll notice, I've talked before about the aging fleet that we have, right? Our mechanics out in the shop do a great job of keeping the fleet in a state of good repair to be able to provide this service, and then our operators are doing a phenomenal job increasing that on-time performance. So we're going to continue to push to get to our goal of 90%, but each month we see an increase is an encouraging sign. On the next page, we have the in-house statistics for para and on-demand. Again, a shout out to the guys out in the shop working over at the HRP. They've done a great job on the miles between road calls. We are well down from the year before and getting closer and closer to our goal. I'd also want to point out the safety. Brad spoke about the safety on our rail side of the house and how phenomenal that feat is. And that truly is unheard of in the commuter rail industry. The challenges our men and women face, whether train crews, our maintenance crews, track, signal, are pretty lofty challenges that they face every day. And to continue to work safe is a huge accomplishment. To give our paratransit folks a shout out as well, because safety is the number one thing that we think about when we show up every day and when we leave home for the day. Our preventable collisions were at 0, and our safety events were at 0 as well. So a big shout out to those folks there. Our OTP remained steady, and our ridership was slightly up from the previous year's month. And then with Para and on-demand contracted services, again, we're doing great with the miles between row calls. The preventable collisions, we've seen a decrease from last March. And our OTP continues to remain strong, right around the 90% as well. So really, the big thing we've been preparing for on the operations side of the house is, much like everyone here in the region has been preparing for the World Cup coming. We just held, as Brad mentioned, a emergency preparedness drill. They call that a full-scale emergency preparedness drill, right? We had players, entities, Amtrak, TRE, TexRail, the fire, police, emergency responders. We even had the Federal Railroad Administration out. Folks from the Department of Homeland Security and TSA were there as well. It was a large event that helped us prepare for the worst if the worst were to happen during the World Cup. We've got our last tabletop exercise for preparedness that's taking place tomorrow, I believe, here locally. And we're getting a lot of participation from our regional partners in those as well. So on the bus side, we do expect to see an uptick in ridership, right? We're going to have a lot of visitors here. And our operators have gone through some extensive training of customer service. And we're ready to welcome all the folks here to Fort Worth. So with that, I'd love to answer any questions you guys may have. Guys and gals, sorry.
Got him. Any questions, Ben?
Remind me, I was looking at the micro contract. On-demand micro shows a 4,000 ridership drop. That seems to be the only one that's showing that a significant decline. Everything else is killing it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what's going on there?
So recently, we've reduced the amount of some of the service we provide on the on-demand side. If you'll notice, on the flip side of that, we've seen a large increase in participation and ridership in our paratransit services, much larger than expected. That's not a free service. That's one of our more costly services that we provide. And so in an attempt to be good stewards of the public dollar, right, we're trying to balance those out and trying to find the sweet spot of the amount of on-demand service we provide, because it's more of an elective service. So we're going to continue to work through that with all the other departments as well here at Trinity Metro, but that's kind of a reflection of what you're seeing there in the statistics.
Awesome, thank you.
Can you talk about the costs in general terms for paratransit, on-demand, bus, just per rider?
Well, there's the fare that we charge. I'll try to, which is definitely not the cost. It is a subsidized service that we provide for on-demand. As well as paratransit. Now, paratransit is federally required. That's something we want to make sure we're taking care of those folks, right? That's a service to the community that we feel very strongly about that needs to be there. And so we want to make sure we're taking care of them. We've seen that the costs have risen dramatically because we've got a large number of participants signing up month after month, that's a great thing. And we want to continue to be able to serve all those who are in need of it. So we're looking at a lot of options right now to make sure we're operating as efficiently as we can and providing the best service to those who need it as well.
The actual cost, say, for on-demand versus a good bus route, what would that be?
Well, there's different metrics you can use. I can get back to you. We can follow up with we can look at the hard numbers, but it's costly. So for the on-demand, right? Especially with the fares we're getting back. When you've got a bus full of people, or you've got one or two in an on-demand vehicle, the costs are quite different.
Why don't we talk about that next month? Maybe we have a little more time.
Yes, sir. No, definitely. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Reed.
Thank you.
Are you the bike person now, Kelly? Is that what's happening here?
Jack of all trades, I'm telling you.
Okay.
Kelly Shields, I'm the Chief Administrative Officer here at Trinity Metro, and I get to, this is a great time because we are positioned to have our very best year this year to go over bikes, so I'm really excited about that. I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. Oh, here he is. Sean, get a wave here. He gets all the credit, man. He gets all the credit. Oh, here, let me see. Okay, so just a few stats. We've got 57 stations, 19 electrified, 38 solar. We're trying to get as many electrified as we can. That way the bikes are kind of charging themselves and we don't have to worry about that kind of maintenance. We've got 11 that are downtown, 745 docks, and then 400 bikes, 340 electric and 60 classic. We had a few when we were purchasing bikes that wanted the classics, and they're tied to it, usually the ones that are riding on Trinity Trail. So we've got 111,000 rides so far since we launched the new service, which was in January of 2025. So we've got a list of the breakdown between the annual passes, the pay-as-you-go. The one good thing to see is 141,000 in farebox revenue just so far for this fiscal year, which is awesome. And then we've got annual agreements, 82,000. If you look at the breakdown there, TCU is up this year, so that will be increasing. They're hoping to get another station. I think they have 7.
No, we have 4 working on 5.
4 working on 5. They're by far our most ridership. And then if you look at this we're positioned to get to 110 this year. So our biggest year so far was back in 2022, which was 91,000. That was the previous. If you notice the drop at on 2025 to 56, that's when we launched the new program. So we have surpassed our old B-Side program. So I'm really excited about that. And then what's next? So the expansion, we're looking to expand 20 to 25 new stations through between now and 2030. That'll be another 100, 150 new electric bikes. We're not going to bring on any more classic bikes. Everybody really likes the electric. Those are the ones everybody's wanting. New stations in North and South Fort Worth, a new station in east of I-35, and then we're looking to grow the university campuses. That's usually where, our biggest, opportunity is. We've got, Sean's had conversations with UNT in the city of Denton, so we may even be up there, and then, of course, Texas Wesleyan. So performance, 5 to 10% increase in ridership per year is what we're hoping for. Create lasting collaborations with nonprofits to make sure everyone has access, and then exploring growth in areas outside of Fort Worth. So awesome job. And I'll be happy to answer any questions, or Sean will, if I can't.
Are we having, in this bond issue that's coming up, are there any bike lanes in that bond issue?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. I can check into it. Do you know? Come on up, Sean.
Hello, Board. Sean Toubray, Director of Trinity Metro Bikes. As far as the bond goes, I don't know of any conversations. Meetings I have been to, one of the most recent meetings is on Hemp Hill Corridor. I don't know if any of y'all have been following that, but they're talking about making it go back to the way it was pre-striped bike lane, one way each way. With the middle turn lane, they're talking about going back, 2 directions, 4, 5 total lanes.
Who's doing that?
The city of Fort Worth had their initial meeting, I was at about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
The residents are driving that.
The residents are driving it.
The residents, the people that live close to that street and on the
It was a
streets.
mix at the community meeting. There was lots of local residents that were in favor of keeping it the way it was, and then there were some residents, some local residents and businesses that wanted change. The reason the conversation is happening is because the stripes are up at their end of life and ready for repainting. And if they're going to repaint They are having a discussion about some augmentation to what it's been doing based on the local businesses that have been asking about getting rid of it. But it was a very mixed audience at that meeting, very solid turnout, and it sounds like because of that, there's going to be multiple more meetings around it.
I have the same impression, except for the fact at the end of that meeting, Lauren said from the city of Fort Worth, she said, "We're not in a hurry, but we're in a hurry because those lanes have reached end of life, and so they will have to repaint them in due time." So I don't know exactly what that means, but we'll see as it moves forward.
That's really sad.
I agree.
That's not the direction I wanted to hear, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions that
I'd
Sean can
I'd
answer?
love to see a map of where our stations are, and then maybe do some gap analysis, if there's anything that Streams and Valleys can do to help augment stuff at their trailheads.
I can get that to you next time. For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I've met the new director, Lauren. She is a big advocate. She was also at the Hemp Hill Corridor meeting. So, yeah, we will continue those conversations and create that map for you.
Awesome. And yeah, Streams is going forward with the Bomber Spur Trail, and they're having the ribbon cutting on Friday, so full steam ahead on that one for the
At 10 o'clock.
25-mile loop of West Fort Worth.
I'm super excited for that.
At 10 o'clock.
Yes.
I will be there.
It's a good method of, it's becoming a good method of transportation for those who want to commute and not on the road. And that's why we have the classic bikes there, because we don't want to be these high-speed bikes running up and down the Trinity Trails. So we have a plan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, Eva, tell us some good news again.
Good afternoon, Board. I am Eva Williams, the Director of Budget and Grants here at Trinity Metro, and I'm here to talk about fund finance with you. So if we look at our revenue and our projections from a bird's eye view, we're faring pretty good. There are a few things that will come up throughout the presentation that may stand out to you a little bit more than it has in the past, and I'll explain to you exactly what that is. So our revenue is coming in slightly above where we projected, which we will not complain about that at all. But we do incorporate that, like Brad mentioned earlier, we've had a higher ridership on our text rail, and we anticipate that trend to keep moving in a positive direction the closer we get to the FIFA World Cup. Sales tax is trending just about right on cue. We are keeping a close eye on sales tax because we are aware of the economics that are going on right now. And so at the board retreat, we'll provide a little bit more in-depth explanation as to how we're going about that analysis. Fair revenue, this is, like I just mentioned, we're doing well in that area just due to the increased ridership that we had. Again, I'm hoping that we can continue to grow ridership, especially with more riders starting to use our service just due to it's less expensive to use transit instead of the maintenance on your vehicle and putting gas in the car. So I hope to see, Fort Worth Central Station booming even after FIFA with more people using our services. So the operating expenditure, and this is where you're going to see kind of an odd jump here, right? So we have what looks to be an increased amount in this area, but it's not. This is from the interest expense that we have from our debt service that we have to allocate. And so it is separated in a line item, and we can share that more in detail if you'd like to see. But I know that looks a little bit different than it possibly has in prior presentations for you. But we've backloaded that, and we have to make sure that it continues to grow so that we can properly service our debt when those payments become due. We're being good stewards of the funds. So moving on to the bus operations and support. As Reed said, we have an amazing maintenance team that is keeping our fleet on the road. It is an older fleet. And so in order to make sure that it remains safe, clean, and reliable, we have had to invest a little bit more money in our fleet than we possibly would if it was a newer fleet. So if you see them around, just give them a high five for making sure that they keep us running and keeping our OTP looking great. So TexRail and TRE, again, there's nothing to see here. They're doing a great job. Thank you to our rail team for all the work that they're doing and for our Herzog team that is keeping us on track. Moving on to our on-demand microtransit, as you can see here, our budget projections are coming in lower, and like Reed mentioned earlier, we have curtailed those services a bit to make sure that we can sustain our trips in paratransit, because we want to make sure that we can get individuals that need our services, especially for those life-sustaining trips. Like medical, we want to make sure they can get there. And so we've had to get a little bit creative with that. And as we're into the budget season, we will make sure that we take all of these trends that we're seeing this year into account as we prepare for next year's budget. And as you can see here, we have an increase in our expenses from the paratransit side, as I just mentioned in the prior slide. So we anticipate seeing this continued growth because we have a high ridership in this area, but we will keep you abreast of if anything becomes alarming, but we don't anticipate that at this time. Trinity Metro bikes, we'll say they have good traction. The investment that we put into the bikes last year, as you can see, there's been a lot more interest in that area. And so we can say that it has paid off, and we hope that it continues to do so. Van pool is another area where there's really nothing to see here, but we could also see some increase in ridership or van pools just due to companies that may be looking for ways for their employees to get to work. Because, you know, if you catch a ride with someone, hey, the gas that you may have paid, which was $10, may be $20 because the person taking you needs to be able to fill their car up. And so if we can get more of these outlying cities to participate in this program, that will help us grow the van pool service, which is a great job led by our Deetra Whitmore in our community engagement department. G&A, again, this is like where the interest expense lives. It looks like, you know, so just nothing to see here really. But again, if you'd like for us to go into detail, we budgeted it here so we can make sure that we could cover our debt. And we got our schedules really after our budget went into effect. So that's why it's budgeted this way. But again, we're going to carry this until we pay off the debt. So you will be seeing it from here until then. So, all right, that is all I have for you all today. I'll try to keep it nice and spicy. I know people are like, oh my gosh, the numbers people are boring, but we are not here at Trinity Metro. We're fun. Are there any questions, comments?
No, thank you very much.
Awesome. I am not Greg Jordan, but I will be back in just a moment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. Right now, we're in the middle of our budget preparation for FY27. And one of the areas that we have substantial spend in every year is our insurance. And so we've been looking recently over the last few months for different ways where we can manage the insurance program, specifically the rail liability program, in a different way that we can achieve some sort of benefit in the future. So We have been exploring to that end, creating our own captive insurance program. A captive insurance program is basically an insurance program that we would own at Trinity Metro, and our premiums that we would pay typically under a fully insured program would go into that captive program and remain with us. And we would build that over time, and over a horizon, we would find income coming back to us as a result of this. So it's somewhat of a self-insured program, but it's an actual separate corporation that we would be creating. Some of the larger transit agencies that employ this strategy include Chicago, Washington, New York MTAs. And so Eva Williams, along with Tim Gould, our insurance or risk director, they've been looking at this for some months now. Eva's going to walk you through it, but today we're not looking for any particular action from the board. But this is something that we do see as being positive to our long-term budget position. And going into next year, we're going to have to budget for $400 million of rail liability insurance. One of the things that makes this make sense is our risk profile. Because of the Texas Tort Claims Act, we don't have $400 million of risk. We have $100,000 worth of exposure per occurrence with a $300,000 aggregate cap. And that's per the state law. So as we've really peeled the onion and looked at this, we think that there's a better way to do this. And so that's what Eva's going to talk to us about today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Eva and let her get into some of the details.
That's great. All right, so as Greg said, we want to stop renting and start owning. Looking at a better way to manage our rail liability costs. Again, I am Eva Williams. I am the Director of Budget and Grants. And as Greg mentioned, we're here to share a novel idea here in Texas for public transportation agencies. I do want to give a shout out to him, Greg Jordan, and Tim Gould for their working on this with me as a team. It's been a fun, innovative thing that we hope to bring to Trinity Metro. So today's purpose is just to walk you through some of the efficiency work we've done here. I mean, I know you hear us talk a lot about budget, expenses, and we want to make sure that we are being good stewards of funds. And so this is one of those ways that we've explored. We want to share with you what we've learned, the opportunity, possible path forward, and really just get your feedback, because next month we will be back in front of you, hopefully with you all saying, yes, move forward. So we're currently off track, and that's a problem. So today we spend about $3.5 with the rail liability insurance on an annual basis. And thankfully, we have not had any claims, and anything that we're currently paying out to the insurer is a sunk cost, meaning we're not getting that money back. So imagine, 3.5 even over 10 years, what we could do with that. So again, for you all that know what this is like, it's like paying rent and never owning the space. Shame on us. So switching tracks, the idea is to create this member-owned insurance company, which is known in the industry as a captive. We would still maintain all of our required protections and have more control over those long-term costs and where our premiums would go. So going into a little bit more of what a captive is, because I know even when I heard it, I was like, what's that, and why should we do it? And so instead of paying those premium dollars out to an insurer, we would, as Greg mentioned, pay ourselves. We would still have to have the premium insurance for any type of catastrophic or major loss, but we would be buying up to a certain amount. And over time, we would grow that and then start buying additional bands. But we will come back next month and dive a little bit deeper into that so you can understand and see more of a visual of how that will work from a financial perspective. We, again, will also have to still meet all legal and regulatory requirements. And thankfully, again, because we don't have any claims, we don't have a high-risk profile. Our deductible is like $3 million right now, and we won't meet that because we fall under the Texas tort, which is the $100,000 per individual or $300 at a cap. So that saves us as well. So let's just do a quick adjustment, because I know I said a lot in a small amount of time. We are not asking for your approval today. We are not changing any coverage. We're not increasing our risk, and we are not committing any funds. But we do have to do a signal check, because I know you're wondering, are we still protected? I don't know. We're trying to start this new insurance company. Yes, we will still be. We have to follow FAST Act. That is a federal law that requires us to have this type of rail insurance, and we will still meet that requirement through the captive and have the big insurance companies back us up for any large catastrophic loss.
We can't bundle us and the captive, can we?
We don't recommend that at this time due to the claims that we have currently on that type of service. So we're trying to go with low risk at this time, but we can look at other opportunities like maybe property, like from a real estate perspective at a later date.
Eva?
Yes,
So
sir.
is this set up as a CFC or an NCFC, do you know? And which one?
I have looked at a lot of paperwork, but I will get that answer back to you and let you know for sure.
And then who is the captive?
It is TIG.
And then are we in part of a pool?
Yes.
And then it'll be important to know who's in our pool and what their losses have been historically as well.
Yes, okay. I will make sure that I get all of that information and provide it to you.
Okay, thank you.
And just so you all know, we would like to be the leaders, kind of like a leading edge to this, and get other transit agencies in Texas to join us. We're looking at other entities that have the same type of profile that we have and fall under the same like state law with the Texas tort, so that we're protected in that manner. So just so you know, that would be something that we would look into, also having that extra income from those entities participating with us. So are we going in the optimal direction? Is this better? How is it better? We pay a lot. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, $35 million, like what could you do with that? A lot. We haven't had any claims to date. We currently cannot recoup any of those paid premiums. And so with this new plan, we will pay ourselves, which is the captive, and maintain control of that. So the next departure, what happens next? Well, we want to stop renting, start owning. If you don't hear anything else today, hear stop renting, start owning. And the path of exploration for us, we've been looking for efficiencies, right? Because we understand that there's a great need to provide safe, reliable, and innovative transit here in Fort Worth. And we want to make sure that we can meet that because our customers depend on that. And so through that work, we learned about this program. Today, we're bringing it to you so that you can hopefully get on board with us, and we can return back next month with a recommendation to move forward. But that is all I have for you today. Does anyone have any questions or any feedback on anything you'd like for me to bring back next month? So that's a yes. Okay. Thank you all, and I will get the information to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of consent action items. They're BA 2026-35 and BA 2026-36. You want a presentation? We have a motion.
Second?
Is there a second? Yeah, we have motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all. Time for the president's report. Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, board members, Trinity Metro staff, and members of the public. Last week, Annette Landeros, Kelly Shields, board member Michael Crane, and I attended the 2026 American Public Transportation Association's legislative conference. We heard from members of Congress, the Federal Transit Administration, Federal Railroad Administration representatives, among others. The key focus of this year's conference was the pending reauthorization of the Federal Surface Transportation Bill. This is the federal legislation that funds major capital projects such as TexRail and provides support for capital maintenance. With diminishing revenue from the federal gas tax, last raised in 1993, and the transition to more fuel-efficient vehicles, federal transportation revenue is in decline, and there are proposals to cut funding to public transportation. So we made 2 trips to Capitol Hill to visit with staff of the offices of Congressman Goldman, Senator Cornyn, and Senator Cruz. We shared success stories from Trinity Metro and highlighted that our residents, according to a public opinion poll, want more public investment in public transportation. So it was a productive trip overall, well worth our time, and appreciate Board Member Crane, your participation in that. So when I arrived 4 years ago, I made it a priority to connect with our community and build the strategic partnerships we needed for long-term success. Those efforts have been enormously successful and have accelerated our progress. Partnership opportunities are emerging from everywhere, from the stockyards to Texas A&M Innovation District and beyond. Still, our team thought there was untapped opportunity to convene everyone, elected officials, business leaders, advocates, and others, in the same room to hear the same message. With that idea in mind, we held our inaugural luncheon with you, the board, at TMP Station, and with invited guests including Mayor Parker, City Council members, hospital presidents, university leaders, hospitality, and tourism leaders. We realized soon after our meeting that our event met the moment and exceeded high expectations. Our team has collectively received, and this is not an exaggeration, hundreds of calls, emails, texts, and requests for meetings to find out how others can connect or otherwise do business with Trinity Metro. As you will recall, our theme for the day was Amplify. Everything we aspire to be and everything we want to accomplish can be amplified by Trinity Metro. Investing in Trinity Metro is not a transportation strategy. It is an education, healthcare, tourism, and economic development strategy. I want to thank our team for their exceptional leadership, vision, and hard work to produce an outstanding event. Our team rallied, as they always do, to handle every detail, and everyone contributed in some way. No job was too small and no detail was overlooked. I want to thank Stadler, our event sponsor, for making the day possible through their generous contribution. And while much credit is shared for our successful day, I would like to give a special recognition to Annette Landeros and Ted Zimmerman. Annette had the unique vision to transform TMP Station into a bustling train station with a flower shop and a coffee vendor. And Ted choreographed images to my talking points. And I kid you not, as Mayor Parker was introducing me to walk up on stage, Ted was behind stage making last-minute changes that I had requested. And my team can attest to this, and they never complain, but they always get the job done. And the Amplify video at the end of the day was a cherry on top. So all Trinity Metro team members in the room who played a role in our inaugural event, would you please stand and be recognized? So we have a pretty bad habit internally of no one wanting to take credit. And this shows up in all sorts of ways. The first thing the team says whenever we have a success is giving credit to everyone else. And while that is a wonderful thing, it's very hard to recognize people at Trinity Metro because no one wants to take credit. And I think that's a credit to obviously the team and the way we look at how we work together here. And so just to wrap up my remarks, let's watch the video one more time.
Great.
Fort Worth is not waiting. It is rising. Rising in innovation. Rising in education. Rising in healthcare. Rising in culture. Rising on the global stage. World-class cities don't happen by accident. They build, they train, they discover, they compete, they lead. Education here doesn't just fill classrooms. It produces scientists, entrepreneurs, engineers, leaders the world comes to learn from. Healthcare here doesn't just treat patients. It drives breakthroughs, trains physicians, advances research, sets standards. Innovation here isn't an idea. It's an ecosystem. Connected, collaborative, accelerating. Tourism isn't just a visit. It's an experience, a destination, a statement that the world is welcome here. Workforce isn't just employment, it's mobility, access, opportunity unlocked. And here's the truth. World class doesn't move forward if people can't move at all. Not students, not researchers, not workers, not visitors, not patients. Connection is the multiplier. Mobility is the catalyst. Infrastructure is the difference. This is where Trinity Metro stands. We connect campuses to innovation, medical districts to neighborhoods, airports to opportunity, talent to momentum. At Trinity Metro, we don't just move people, we move possibility. We amplify institutions, we amplify access, we amplify impact. Fort Worth is building a world-class future, and together, we're here to amplify it. At Trinity Metro, we're connecting people.
There you go, Ted.
Yeah, it's awesome what you can do with a great team. All right.
Way to go, Rich.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, the agenda talks about board members' report, so y'all follow that. No comments from the board?
I'd like to just, I think I talked to Glenn about this a little bit. So we had Main Street Arts Festival downtown. Some of y'all might have heard about it, a little thing. We did a great job. The marketing media team, everybody did a great job advertising it and getting visitors and tourists here. But one thing, and I forget, I know it was either Ned or Glenn or both of y'all because it was a long weekend, was really cool to me is that some of the personnel that worked that event, including our security over at the Friends of the Festival event, were talking to me about how they rode our TRE from Dallas to work here because it was a better opportunity. And so I think about tourists coming here. I think about all the different things that we do great about bringing people on our trains across town, but it still surprises me that we are also bringing jobs this way. And having someone that worked security the entire event, the nicest guy ever, lived in Vegas for 10 years. I got his whole life. I can tell it all to you. But he was just so complimentary of everything that represents what we're doing in this room. And I think that was a really cool takeaway from just nice young man that rides the TRE from Dallas because he wanted to be in this event in our town on our services. So great work to everybody on that one.
Great story, man.
Got one thing. First off, team, the board lunch or the annual lunch was amazing. And my favorite part was the conscientious placemaking that y'all did before, the activating of the station with the jazz music and the vendors. I would love if we could have that all the time at our stations. It felt, you could feel the energy, and I felt like I was like getting off in Midtown somewhere. It was really cool, so great work on that.
Everybody liked?
I'll say, the great video, I'm glad you did it. I would nominate Miss Browning over here and her friends if we need people the next time to, as actual riders as part of that. It was good job there. And also, just so you know, Audubon is coming to that spot. With Frank Kent Cadillac, we'll move over there as well. But there's going to be an H-E-B on that corner too. So even more service and commercial down that corridor, which we need more transportation to and from. So thanks for highlighting that as part of your journey.
That's exciting news.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments, questions, board? Let's go to cybersecurity update.
While Brian's walking to the microphone, I have had the chance to connect with some of my peers around the country about emerging threats in the cybersecurity world. And I have to tell you, having lived through this actually at another agency, this is always a clear and present danger and risk for public agencies. No amount of vigilance, exercising continued vigilance is essential, but the threat is ever present. So the thing that keeps me up at night, and I think you'll get some insights from Brian now, are the fact that everything that we do is in the digital world. So whether it be from payroll to operational data, vehicle maintenance. So given the world that we live in, the geopolitics of the world that we live in, this is something that I asked to be elevated to the board so that you're aware of sort of what we're dealing with and how we're approaching the challenge. Brian?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Brian Morrow, Director of Information Technology at Trinity Metro. So that video, you know, my thought was, my gosh, that's the I don't want all that to come crashing down one day, right? So let's talk about that. With the World Cup coming in the next few months, it's important to get comfortable with the fact that as public transit organization responsible for moving World Cup visitors, our organization has a massive cyber target painted on us. I will cover the Trinity Metro specific stats later in the presentation, but it's probably a good idea we start with just some of the general FBI stats so we understand kind of where we are in the world right now. So the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, it's called IC3, surging losses. They reported in 2024 $16.6 billion. And there's a steep trajectory upward in 25 and 26. We don't have the 25 numbers yet because they still haven't calculated them. They're still growing because of the lagging cost that it takes to recover from these attacks. They really don't know where it's going to end. The interesting one is the projected global cybercrime cost, which is estimated to be $10.5 trillion. So, you know, let's put that in perspective. That's the third largest economy after the U.S. and China. That is just an unbelievable stat, but that's why this keeps growing. High volume complaints, they receive, you know, about 3,000 complaints a day. Those don't always turn into actual reports or incidents, but the volume is there. The one that is really important, and we'll touch on this again, is since the war began with Iran, malicious traffic on the internet has increased 245%, and we're seeing that on our networks, and we'll talk about that. Now, some of the interesting high-profile attacks that we've seen in 2026 so far, you can see that list. There's thousands of them, but these are just sort of the high-profile in the U.S. and ones that's really interesting because they have such high cybersecurity budgets are U.S. immigration. Right? They should be protected better than anyone. The U.S. State Department of Human Services, AT&T, Dell Computers, they were all hit this year. Some of those were hacktivist, meaning they just wanted to embarrass. Others were ransom. So they wanted to, you know, hey, pay me and we'll unencrypt your data that we just stole or we have you locked up. It's a very interesting deal there. Okay, who are these attackers? Well, in a nutshell, there's too many to list. They all have different motives. We do, however, have the FBI Most Wanted list. That's that group in the center. Yeah, they're funny names, but they're not funny. The one at the bottom we'll talk about a little bit more. That's the Iranian group, Handala, and they are climbing fast on that list. Those attack teams in the center, those are what we call zero-day experts. So what is a zero-day? That's basically an exploit that has come out that has no fix. Vendors aren't aware. No one's aware of it. It literally drops from the sky. And everyone that runs those systems or software could be impacted. Those guys are really good at finding those exploits. In addition, these groups utilize AI differential comparisons to develop exploits for scheduled security updates. So we just had our Microsoft updates. They release monthly. That was last week. They release on Patch Tuesday. They run the differentials between what was patched previously to what was patched today. When they run the AI tools to find out, oh, what happened? What was the difference and how can I create an exploit? So the race is on to patch as soon as those are released as to who can patch first. We're at a little bit of a disadvantage because sometimes we can't just patch the Microsoft stuff because it might break our servers just because. Just right straight out of Microsoft. So we have to test a little bit before we can actually deploy. That's what we actually did Sunday night on our production servers. How do they attack? The most common attacks are on the left, phishing being the most worrisome for me on the list. But no matter the attack method, the goal is always one of 6 things: recon, delivery, exploitation, command and control, execution, or weaponization. At Trinity Metro, we use a layered approach to defend ourselves against cyber attackers. Each layer of defense listed on the right has multiple subsets and additional security systems. We have spent many hours developing a strong security program tied to physical, logical, and policy restrictions. Okay. So if a cyber attack was successful at Trinity Metro, we could face what the Stryker Medical Group did in late March. Some of you may have heard about them. So they are located in 79 countries, medical manufacturer, very large company, 200,000 devices. So they all came in, I think it was like a Wednesday morning, and this is what they woke up to. Every desktop, every laptop, every server, every cell phone in the company had this image on it. That was it. That's what they found. The group handler took immediately responsibility for this. They wiped all data on all systems. It was not a ransomware attack. They did not hold it hostage. Their motivation appeared because it was a US-based company that also had Israeli investors. This was a you're not safe. We can reach out to you no matter what type of attack. We're not asking for anything other than to maybe provide some public embarrassment, all right? So, if we come in and see that, it's going to be a very bad 2 weeks. And that's a threat for anyone that's, that's doing business in the U.S. They are a very serious group. What did that mean for them financially? It was a big deal. They took a $6 billion value hit in stock right off the bat. 200,000 devices, were basically useless. So that stopped all their shipping, manufacturing, order processing, everything. Employees filed $5 million against Stryker for data exposure. The other side of that is they actually had to bring these machines back on, so they had to bring in experts such as Palo Alto's Unit 42, Microsoft. If they got a bargain basement price of just $50 a device to restore, that's $10 million right there, right off the bat, just to put them back in business. They were definitely paralyzed, and the root cause of this was a phishing campaign that harvested IT admin credentials. That's how it happens. That's why I get so worried about phishing. That's the one way that they can get to us very quickly and pass some defenses if they do something, in a manner that, would bypass our systems. We try to put subsets of those to prevent that from happening, but that's why phishing is such a big deal to us. This bottom slide is really interesting. So if you look, it's a quote from Keith B. Alexander, former director of National Security Agency, Commander of United States Cyber Command. Cybercrime is the greatest transfer of wealth in history. That's amazing to me. 10.5 trillion. The little illustration to the right was provided by CrowdStrike. And you notice they put one image on there twice. 96% of all attack exposure originates from web applications. They put that twice because it's so serious. That's not basically not secure web applications, and that seems to be how they're getting everyone. The average cost of a breach is almost $5 million. The time to break out, 29 minutes after they get in the system. They used to actually take many days to see what they wanted. The tools have gotten that much better. So now they can kind of make that decision much quicker as to how quickly they would like to make that activation. How would they like to take you down? Okay. So what type of potential cyber attack activity is Trinity Metro seeing? In a nutshell, we see thousands of attackers testing our metal on a daily basis. The chart below shows the number of connection attempts from non-US-based locations. As a general rule, that traffic is blocked because at the end of the day, no good can come from it. So, when we look at that, it's like, why is anyone in Syria pinging our firewall? They're not checking the bus schedule, I promise you. It is, it's just bad. It's just bad traffic. The next one is the one that's a little bit more serious. It's kind of what we call the doorknob jigglers. And that's how they're checking your locks, right? These guys are actually trying to scan our network or fingerprint our devices. These are active bots running 24/7. If you notice, Iran moved to the top of this list. They were always in the top 20, but since the war began, they are running at full speed. China and Russia have always been at the top of the list. The scanning bots detect a vulnerability, and the next step is an actual human will take over the attack. So what we try to do is thwart that so that they never see us. So I'm sure these attackers get very frustrated with us because of some of the things we do from our side, so they can't actually get to what they're trying to do. But they keep trying, and that's the bots that are doing that. Another example of that is our VPN connectivity. So this is VPN connection attempts that were blocked at our firewall. We logged thousands of unauthorized VPN connection attempts in Q1. Hackers will try various names and IP addresses in an attempt to bypass our security controls. These are typically attackers versus just bots. Take notice of the guest account. That's number one there at the top, which, by the way, does not exist in our network. However, they tried to log on 731 times with 619 different IP addresses, and that's because of our countermeasures. So they try that, it gets into our security system, they get blocked, they move to the next one, next one, next one. So it's a never-ending cycle there. And that has definitely started ramping up. It could be because of a World Cup coming, it could be because of the war, I don't know. The next one is our email rejections. We blocked approximately 100,000 inbound emails because of the high volume of email-based cyber attacks. The Stryker Medical Group attack, as I discussed earlier, was determined to be harvested admin credentials from a phishing attack. That's definitely the easiest way to get to our employees, and why we restrict it so tightly. Okay. Takeaways. Nation-state activity is escalating. Why is this worrisome? Because nation-states have basically unlimited resources, right? They're also protected within their borders. They cannot be prosecuted. No one's coming after them. So unless they happen to leave, they're free to do whatever they want, and they do. AI is now actively used in all attacks, and there's no question about that. It is, and the speed of how they can launch those attacks it's tenfold. Third-party risk is a major entry point. That's trusted supply chain attacks. That means one of your vendors that's part of your ecosystem was the breach. The Stryker group was Microsoft. That was a product called Intune. That's what they used to manage all of their assets. They took that over. That's how they got a hold of 200,000 machines and did it in just an hour. They owned it, and they had it. All right? Public sector and utilities remain highly vulnerable, and that really comes down to IT budgets, especially in smaller municipalities and so forth. IT budgets. It's the smaller, especially smaller communities, they don't have the resources to really defend themselves the way that they should. Ransomware and identity attacks, they definitely still dominate. That's where the money is. Most of these, there's going to be an encryption factor. Your stuff's going to be stolen, encrypted. It's either going to be held hostage of, we're going to release it to embarrass you, or would you like it back? And here's the cost to get it back. And that's kind of how they do. All right. So where are we? How do we protect ourselves? Where do we stand from a cybersecurity perspective? And how do we know we're doing enough to protect ourselves? That was a lot of bad news. Let's talk about the good stuff. So we bring in professional hackers to try and attack our system the same way we might see someone attack us in the wild. That's called a penetration test. From 12/1 through 12/19/25, CyberOne performed a comprehensive external penetration test of our network. We do these tests annually. I'm pleased to inform you that we were given a low risk score, which is often very difficult to achieve. The testers' feedback was as follows. During the assessment, the CyberOne team observed a hardened and limited attack surface. Assessors only had one finding to help improve the external network security posture. That's an outstanding mark. That doesn't really get any better than that. On that note, before I take any questions, one of the members on my team did something really cool last week. Andrew Avant is a cyber administrator on my IT team. Andrew, if you could stand up for us. Andrew competed against hundreds of cyber administrators in a real-time competition last week. It was a find the flag exercise to promote cyber attack readiness and response administered by SentinelOne. That's one of the largest software security providers in the world. The competition is timed and requires finding cyber attack vectors and breach points. Having competed in hundreds of these events over my career, I can tell you the difficulty level is very, very high. I'm proud to announce that Andrew not only took first place in this competition, it was not even close. Andrew ran across the end zone and he spiked the ball in their face. So congratulations, Andrew. And with that, any questions?
I think on behalf of the board, let's keep Andrew happy.
Let's keep Andrew around, and can we send him on the attack? Can he go to these nation states and wreck them?
We would love to attack. They don't. It's illegal.
Okay. Strike that from the record. I take it back.
Wouldn't fix the budget.
I'm saying we could, privateer, and he could go out and get us our budget every year. Could be great.
Brian, I do want to say, I'm in this space a lot. This was a great presentation, and you and I have visited a lot about the toys that we employ here, and I'm just continually impressed by you and your team, and it is definitely industry leading, not just within the transit authority, but just companies in general, so.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Question, Trinity Metro had a cyber attack a few years ago. Would that similar type of attack be effective?
So that attack happened in 2020, and that's the reason that you guys have me. That attack could never happen again. That similar attack, 2 weeks after I got here, I tried to run that attack after we made some changes, and that could not happen. There was a number of things, and there's probably 20 things in the way of that attack ever happening again. But that was, I know your concern, yeah.
We elevated our interest, I think.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was necessary.
Yes.
Appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's it?
At this time, the Board of Directors will convene an executive session under the Texas Open Meetings Act for the consultation with its attorney for deliberation regarding personnel matters pursuant to Section 551.074. Upon the completion of the executive session, we'll reopen the meeting. Now we'll adjourn into executive session.
They're going to be competing with balls.
Okay, the executive session has ended, and I believe Isaac has a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a motion. The motion as follows is a requested salary change for Richard Andreski. The current salary being $331,143 to be changed to 300. No? Did I? No?
Keep reading.
Keep going? Okay. I'm just going to read the requested pieces. 385. Wait, am I? Sorry.
Starless has a question.
No, I'm just reading faces, and I just wanted to make sure that
Sorry, I was asked to do
Sorry.
the motion, and I'm kind of confused as what I'm specifically
that's,
supposed to read. So
you continue, you don't worry about me.
Okay.
I'm just reading.
Read it as requested, or is it read the details of the request?
Move to approve.
Can you go for a minute?
Yes. I think it's just as requested.
Lawyers bailing.
Man, I was just giving a piece of paper. If I had a teleprompter, I could just read from it. That'd be great.
Sorry? I've been advised by counsel that we have an agreement in our executive session as to certain extension in terms of our CEO's contract of employment. I'd like to ask Kelly Shields to work with the terms that we've agreed upon. We'll give you those terms in a few minutes, and then at the next meeting, we'll have a formal agenda item where we can approve our agreement with Mr. Andreski if the board chooses. So with that, unless there's further business to come before the board, we're adjourned.
That's it. That's it.